In class, we're going to get practice filling out Form 941, the employer's quarterly federal tax return. So it calculates how much OSTI, which is Social Security, and how much Medicare, and how much federal income tax the company needs to pay to the federal government. So on the next 5 slides in class, we're going to print these out so we can fill it out as we go along. So we're going to have Form 941, pages 1 and 2. There's going to be 3 journal payments, which show the FICA FIT payments. And I say FICA twice to remind you that there's FICA for the employee, FICA for the employer. And then we'll have a worksheet summary of the payroll registers, and then one of the quarter's payroll registers. So this is page 1 of the Form 941. You can also find this online. And this was also in Canvas, ready for you to print out. And here's page 2 of 941. And then here's our fourth quarter payments of FICA FIT. And our worksheet summary of payroll registers for the 4th quarter. And one of the quarter's payroll registers. So now we can get started. So Form 941 is the employer's quarterly federal tax return, and you'll be able to see an image on it, or an image of it on the next slide. It's completed after the end of each calendar quarter, so you have to fill this out 4 times a year. And it's going to report the total FICA. Remember, FICA is 2 taxes, OSTI, Social Security, and Medicare, plus the amount of federal income tax, FIT, withheld from the employee's pay. So let's get started on filling this out. We're going to start at the top, and we'll need our worksheet summary of the payroll registers to start filling this out. So at the very top, it's asking for our EIN, Employer Identification Number. For this company, it's 581213479. In the name field, you're going to put Catherine Kurtz. And trade name is the name of the company, travelwithus.com. And then we also have the address, 10 Lovett Road, Salem, Massachusetts, 01970. Now in the upper right-hand corner, it's asking us, it says report for this quarter of 2020X. So in other words, which quarter are we reporting on? Well, as you see, we're going to be using a summary of the 4th quarter's payroll register. So we're going to put an X for the 4th quarter. Line 1. Number of employees who received wages. So where would we find the number of employees who were paid during the quarter? From our payroll register. Looks like we've got 5 employees. So we're going to enter 5 for line 1. Line 2, wages, tips, and other compensation. Now in this problem we're doing, the employees do not get any tips. So we're going to insert the taxable gross wages, but for what time frame? Is it for the full year, a pay period, for a quarter? Well, remember, we're working on the 4th quarter, so we need the 4th quarter gross wages. So where would we find it on our table? Note, for line 2, which is wages, tips, and other compensation, do not include contributions to retirement plans such as 401k or pre-tax benefits such as a flex plan. This is similar to box 1 of Form W2. So you need to remember this when we get to the payroll project, because we will have at least 1 employee that contributes to the 401k. And because that's not taxable for federal tax, income tax, we need to leave that off or leave it out of line 2. So on this worksheet summary of payroll registers, where would we find the gross wages? For the quarter, not for the year. It's $72,135.92. Now, line 3, federal income tax withheld from wages, tips, and other compensation. So where on the worksheet summary of payroll registers would we find the FIT? $8,213 was withheld for the quarter from the employees' paychecks. Now we're going to move to line 5A. And we will start with column 1. We need to enter the amount of gross earnings that are taxable for OSTI. Notice it says taxable Social Security wages. Remember, not everything is taxable for Social Security. If an employee makes above a certain amount, then that amount above it is not taxable for Social Security. So, fortunately, this worksheet summary of the payroll registers has an OSTI taxable earnings column, so it's already calculated for us. So how much is taxable for OSTI for the fourth quarter? $72,135.92. Now, line 5A, column 2. We're going to calculate the amount of Social Security that must be paid to the government. It's $72,135.92 times 12.4%, also known as 0.124 in the form of a decimal. You do the math, that's $8,944.85. Now the form uses 12.4% instead of 6.2% because it's calculating the employee and the employer portion all at the same time. Line 5B, taxable Social Security tips. We're going to skip this because the employees received no tips. Line 5C, column 1. We need to enter the amount of gross earnings that are taxable for Medicare. And again, this is for the quarter. So the gross earnings taxable for Medicare, $72,135.92. Then we're going to multiply that by 2.9%, which converted to a decimal is 0.029. And that will give us $2,091.94. The form uses 2.9% instead of 1.45% because it's calculating the employee and employer portion at the same time, just like for the Social Security tax. Line 5D. We're going to skip it because no wages were subject to additional Medicare tax withholding. Line 5E. It says, add column 2 for lines 5A, B, C, and D. When we add those up, we get $11,036.79. Line 5F. We're going to skip this because the employees received no tips. Line 6, total taxes before adjustments. It says to add lines 3, 5E, and 5F. $19,249.79. So what box 6 represents, it's the total tax that's due before adjustments. So what taxes does this 941 calculate? FICA, FICA, FIT. FICA for the employee, FICA for the employer, and then the FIT. So the employer owes $19,249.79 before any adjustments. Line 7 is next, but this requires some explanation. Line 7 is the difference in pennies between what you owe for FICA FIT, which is line 6, according to the Form 941, compared to what you paid, which is line 13. Because Form 941 rounds OSTI and high, Medicare and Social Security, once for each on this form. But when we calculated it during the quarter, we rounded once for each employee for each pay period. And that was once for OSTI and once for high. So on the next slide, we're going to have an example showing you why there might be a few cents difference, all due to rounding. So in this scenario, we got two employees, Jack and Jill. And the purpose of the slide, again, is to give you an example of why line 7, which is fractions of cents, is needed on the Form 941. So our first task is we're going to calculate the employee OSTI and then the employer OSTI. OSTI, of course, is Social Security. And remember, it's 6.2%. So Jack has taxable pay of $105.89. We multiply that by 6.2%, and we get $6.57. Now we had to round it because technically you get 6.56518, but because it's currency, we have to round to 2 decimals. Now Jill, she gets paid more than Jack. We're going to calculate her OSTI by taking $112.05 times 6.2% gives us $6.95. Now the total employee OSTI, we're going to add those two up, $13.52. Now remember, the employer must match that. So the matching employer OSTI is also $13.52 for a total of $27.04. Okay. So that's what we calculated for the employee and employer OSTI for the pay period. So let's say it's now time to do the 941. So remember, the 941 calculates total OSTI, the employee and the employer portion, in one calculation and then rounds once. So notice up above, we calculated once for Jack and we rounded, and then once for Jill and then we rounded. And notice both of these happen to round up. So now when we calculate the Form 941 version of OSTI, we're going to take the total taxable pay, $217.94, just like Form 941 does it, and we're going to multiply that by 12.4%. And the answer we get is $27.02. So notice up above, when we do the payroll, we calculated total employee and employer OSTI as $27.04. But when we do the Form 941, it says we only owe $27.02. So the reason there's a 2-cent difference is just from rounding. By chance, in the portion above, when we did Jack and Jill, both rounded up. So that's why there is a 2-cent difference. So now that we know why there could be some cents difference, which is line 7, to calculate line 7, we first need to fill out line 13, which is the amount of FICA FIT that we paid during the quarter. So where do we find the 3 monthly payments of FICA FIT for the 4th quarter? From the journal entry. We got 3 journal entries because we were a monthly depositor. And in October, we paid $54.96.26, November, $69.45.36, and in December, $68.08.16. Now we need to add those up. And that gives us a total of $19,249.78. So those are our payments that we made of FICA FIT. So that is line 13. Now that we have line 6 and line 13 filled out, then we can go back and figure out line 7. So to calculate line 7, it's the difference between line 6, what we owe, and line 13, what we paid. So line 6 says we owe $19,249.79. Line 13, we paid 1 penny short, $19,249.78. So the question is, what number do we need to add or subtract from line 6, which is what we owe, to get to line 13, what we paid? So what's the difference between line 6 and line 13? How do we get from line 6 to line 13? We have to subtract 1 penny, negative 1 cent. So line 7 is minus 1 penny. The 1 cent difference is from rounding. We paid 1 cent less than we owe, and this amount will be forgiven. They don't care about it because they know that there's going to be some rounding differences. Just like if we overpaid by 2 cents, they're not going to give us back the 2 cents. In the long run, it all evens out. So we're going to skip lines 8, 9, and 11. These are advanced topics covered in our tax class. So line 10, we're going to combine lines 6 through 9 according to the directions. So 19,249.79 minus 1 cent gives us 19,249.78. Line 12, we're going to subtract line 11, which is 0, from line 12. So line 12 is 19,249.78. And then line 14 is the balance. The balance due is 0. Line 14 says if line 12, 19,249.78, is more than line 13, enter the difference. So we don't owe anything. So that's how we fill out page 1 of Form 941. So that's most of the work. We're almost done. We're now going to do page 2. So we're going to need our worksheet summary of payroll registers. And the first thing at the very top asks us for our name, not the trade name. So we're going to fill in Catherine Kurtz and then the EIN. Now notice it says we are a monthly depositor of FICA FIT. So we're going to put an X where it says you were a monthly depositor for the entire quarter. Now we need to fill out the tax liabilities for month 1, month 2, and month 3. We're going to get that from our journal entries. Month 1, we paid $54.96.26. Month 2, we paid $69.45.36. And month 3, we paid $68.08.16. We add those all up, and we get $19,249.78. Part 3, none of this applies, so we're going to leave it blank. Part 4, we're going to put an X on the no. Part 5, we need to sign it. And who's going to sign it? Catherine Kurtz. We're going to print her name and then her title. Now I have a question for you. What are the reporting periods for Form 941? Because we're trying to figure out what date this needs to be signed by. It's a quarterly form, so the reporting periods are calendar quarters ending on March 31st, June 30th, September 30th, and December 31st. Next question, when are Form 941s due? If they're quarterly, when are they due? The filing date for any of the reports is the last day of the month following the quarter. So when is this particular Form 941 due? Which quarter is it for? Well, it's for the fourth quarter, if you remember. That's why the worksheet summary of payroll registers is for the fourth quarter. And since this is the fourth quarter, it's due the last day of the month following the quarter. So what's the last day of the month following the fourth quarter? January 31st. And then we put in our daytime number. And that's it. We filled out the form 941, pages 1 and page 2.